The dawn sun spills gently over the vast grasslands of Serengeti National Park in Tanzania, turning the morning mist into a golden haze that weaves around sparse trees and lush green bushes. It is in this magical, peaceful moment that Tabo, a young wildlife ranger, begins his daily patrol. A gentle breeze carries the song of birds as he drives along dusty tracks, his heart brimming with a passion for the wild. Since he was a child, Tabo dreamed of protecting creatures that most people only saw in books. Now, wearing his ranger uniform and riding in his off-road vehicle, his dream has become reality. Every morning, before he sets out, Tabo carefully inspects his vehicle, topping up water bottles, checking his medicine kit, and verifying the spare bandages and tools that might mean the difference between life and death for an injured animal. He steps out, closes the door, and stands still for a moment, listening to the calls of birds above and feeling the steady heartbeat of the earth beneath his boots, as if nature herself is offering guidance for the day's journey. As the sun climbs higher, Tabo pauses by a set of fresh footprints in the damp sand beside the road. He crouches low, studying their shape and depth, imagining the animal that left them. Perhaps a zebra grazing too close to a hunting lion, or an impala hoping to avoid noticing danger. He rises, dusts his jeans, and drives on, the hum of the engine mingling with the whisper of leaves overhead. Then, in the quiet of dawn, something catches his eye, a small stain of blood on the dry grass beside the path. His heart stutters as he brings the vehicle to a halt, turns off the engine, and steps out with practiced calm. The air feels suddenly stiller, heavier. He tiptoes, each footfall cautious, following droplets of dark crimson soaked into the weeds. Questions whirl in his mind. Which creature needs help? Can he reach it before it's too late? He reaches the edge of a clearing and freezes at the sight before him. A magnificent male lion lies motionless among the grass, his golden fur streaked with dried blood. Barbed wire, twisted and cruel, is buried deep into his shoulders and back. Tabo's heart pounds. He reaches for his medical kit, clasping it to his chest and swallowing hard. From a distance, the lion's chest rises and falls in ragged gasps, its great head lifting briefly to reveal tired, haunted eyes that meet Tabo's gaze in the half-light. A low, weak growl rumbles from the lion's throat, as if it pleads for help, even as it warns Tabo to keep his distance. Every instinct in Tabo's body tells him to hurry, but he remembers that sudden movements could startle the lion. With each step forward, he murmurs soft, soothing words, hoping his voice will calm both himself and the injured beast. The barbed wire has cut deep, wrapping around the lion's muscular shoulders like a merciless shackle. Blood seeps from multiple wounds, staining the grass in dark, glistening patches. Tabo's breath catches in his throat as he kneels beside the lion, careful to keep his eyes averted from those fierce, sorrow-filled eyes. He takes a deep breath, pulls a pair of sturdy pliers from his belt, and grips them with trembling fingers. Sweat beading on his forehead, Tabo begins the painstaking task of cutting through twisted metal. For several minutes, the only sounds are the clip of metal shearing under Tabo's pliers, the lion's soft, pained groans, and the hum of invisible insects awakening to the morning sun. The wire protests with a low screech as it gives way under Tabo's determined effort. Each strand that falls away seems to lift a little weight from the lion's burden. At last, with a final cut, the last Cree strand clatters to the ground. The lion, free at last, inhales sharply and trembles with fatigue. Tabo's hands move quickly. He applies antiseptic buttered in herbal salve, wraps bandages around each bleeding wound, and murmurs another soothing phrase. In this quiet moment, relief shines in the lion's eyes, a glint of gratitude that brightens its fierce gaze. Tabo leans back and whispers a name. Asani, meaning brave. Though his voice is soft, it carries a weight beyond mere words. He takes one more step back, giving Asani space to test his strength. Asani lifts his massive body with effort, jagged breaths hissing as he rises. His paws press into the damp earth. He staggers forward a few steps, his golden mane catching the light as if crowned by dawn itself. For a heartbeat, he turns his gaze fully on Tabo, as though memorizing every detail of the man who saved his life. Then, with a final glance, Asani disappears into the tall grass. Behind him, the shredded barbed wire lies abandoned, and a dark smear of blood marks the place of their encounter. Tarbo stands quietly, reflections swirling in his mind. In that single moment, his commitment to protect every creature, no matter how fierce, deepens into something unbreakable. Weeks drift by, and life in the Serengeti settles back into its steady rhythm. Tarbo continues his patrols, driving along winding paths, pausing to study new footprints, and sketching in mental notes of bird calls and rustling leaves. One afternoon, under a sky brushed with strokes of cloud, he spots something familiar at the edge of a distant golden grassland. A tall, proud lion, silhouetted against the horizon. Asani stands perfectly still, observing Tarbo's every movement with calm, unwavering eyes. There is no sign of aggression, only recognition. Tarbo's heart leaps at the sight. A bond forged in desperation now survives in the wide-open plains. Word spreads among Tarbo's park colleagues that a large lion has been following his vehicle at a discreet distance along dirt roads and hidden trails. At first, confusion and concern ripple through the park's camp. Is the lion a danger? Some whisper. Tarbo bows his head and shakes it. Asani is not a threat. He is a friend. Over the following days, time proves Tarbo's words true. Whenever he halts the vehicle to inspect fresh tracks or tend to injured hoofprints, Asani pauses a short distance away, unmoving and patient, until Tarbo closes his notepad and climbs back in. Then the great lion resumes following. Quiet, protective, ever watchful. Tourists and visitors soon catch wind of the extraordinary friendship. Cameras click as people strain their necks, hoping to glimpse a golden mane glinting in the tall grass beside a khaki-clad ranger. Gods whisper legends of man and beast united by trust. As the sun dips low one evening, Tarbo notices Asani perched atop a rocky hill, silhouetted against a blazing orange sky. The sight is breathtaking, two worlds colliding in perfect harmony. A man with his solemn duty and a lion with his fierce independence, bound together by compassion. Yet the wild remains unpredictable. When a harsh, dry season clutches the western plains, a herd of elephants, driven by desperation, goes on a rampage. Trees that have stood for centuries crash to the ground. Makeshift visitor huts splinter under powerful tusks. The park authorities scramble to evacuate tourists from nearby campsites, and Tarbo is among the rangers tasked with guiding frightened visitors to safety. He moves quickly, urging families to load into jeeps, leading them along a dusty track lined with broken branches. Suddenly, a flare of panic hits him. He looks back to find himself separated from his team, stranded on a low mound ringed by tangled reeds and broken tree stumps. The weight of dread settles in his chest as he hears the tearing, thunderous rumble of elephants charging. The earth itself seems to shudder beneath their immense weight, and their deafening trumpets drown out all other sounds. Tarbo's boots slip in the dry sand as he turns to run, but there is nowhere to go. Fear grips him like a vice. Then, like a bolt of lightning ripping across the sky, a roar splits the chaos. Tarbo knows that roar, deep, resonant, filled with defiance. Asani charges forth, moving at a speed that belies his massive frame. He positions himself between Tarbo and the approaching elephants, mane bristling in the dusty wind, fangs bared in fierce determination. The largest elephant halts mid-stride, trunk frozen in mid-air as if stunned by this unexpected challenger. With another mighty roar, Asani throws down his challenge. For a moment, the elephants step forward, trumpeting in confusion. Asani maneuvers with astonishing grace, darting just beyond their reach. Each calculated move drawing the herd's attention away from Tarbo. He sways, legs coiled like springs, every muscle tuned for survival and protection. It is his territory, his moment to declare, "This man shall not be harmed." Tarbo seizes the chance. He scrambles to his feet and dashes toward higher ground behind a cluster of rocks. He glances back to see Asani still standing his ground, golden mane rippling with tension and pride. The two roars collide in the air, a symphony of the wild that echoes for miles. At last, the elephants, exhausted and wary, begrudgingly retreat, trampling up dust as they lumber away into the savannah. They finally vanish beyond the ridge, leaving only silence in their wake. Asani, panting heavily, collapses onto the hot ground. Tabo arrives at his side, heart pounding. The lion's massive body heaves with exhaustion, yet in his golden eyes is the same spark of gratitude Tabo saw on that first morning. "You saved me, and I saved you," Tabo whispers, voice cracking with emotion. Carefully, he lifts Asani into the back of his ranger vehicle. Every jolt of the suspension sends a shudder through the lion's wounded frame. But Asani makes no sound, an eternal bond of trust restraining him. They arrive at the park's veterinary station just as twilight deepens into night. Rangers press forward with stretchers and clean towels. The veterinarian gently examines Asani's bruises and exhaustion. Word strikes like wildfire. A lion, it saved a ranger's life. By dawn, the whole park buzzes with amazement at this profound loyalty between human and beast. Over the next several days, Asani receives round-the-clock care. Every time Tabo approaches, the lion lifts his head, as if to reassure the man that despite every hardship, their bond remains unbroken. Slowly, Asani regains his strength. When it's time to returning to the wild, Tabo guides him to the edge of a shady thicket. Asani pauses, looks back at the ranger who treated his wounds, and nuzzles his giant head against Tabo's leg. A silent promise that this friendship will endure. With a final low rumble in his chest, Asani steps into the brush and vanishes from sight. Yet Tabo never truly loses him. On every patrol, Tabo senses a presence in the shadows. Rustle of grass here, a flicker of golden fur there, and he knows Asani is near, watching over him. The scars on Asani's broad shoulders, remnants of the barbed wire, have healed, but they remain a testament to resilience and gratitude. They are tattoos of fate, binding ranger and lion across shifting seasons. The rain, the scorching sun, the endless wind that sings through the grass. At night, around crackling campfires, park staff tell the tale of Tabo and Asani's journey in hushed, reverent tones. The story takes on a mythical glow, as if two spirits joined in the wilderness itself. When dawn breaks again, Tabo gathers his kit, checks his vehicle, and steps out onto the track, certain that somewhere out there, in the tall grass or atop a rocky outcrop, Asani guards him. One evening, after a long day tracing footprints and healing injured hooves, Tabo glances westward and sees a familiar silhouette. Asani perched on his usual rock, golden mane backlit by fading light. For a moment, their eyes meet across the distance, and Tabo feels a calm wash over him, a confirmation that he is never truly alone in the heart of the Serengeti. This tale of courage and kindness, of broken wire and broken barriers between man and beast, is more than a story. It's a legacy that will echo through generations. Two hearts, one wild and fierce, the other devoted and brave, found each other in a world where survival often means solitude. Together, they remind us that trust, once earned, can bridge any divide, and that a single act of compassion can ignite an unbreakable bond between the most unlikely of friends. If this story of friendship in the wild touched something deep within you, remember to share it with those who believe in the power of kindness, and stay tuned for more tales that celebrate the uncharted wonders of our world.